Good afternoon. Welcome to this pivotal session. Thank you all for being here. Firstly, how many people have come to the Opera House for the first time? That's terrible. We've been open for 8 years, guys. But I'll tell you a first for me is I'm always anchoring things here. I've never been able to moderate a panel here, so I want to thank the IFCCI and Sumit and team for making me do this. But very excited to be in conversation of a topic that's very interesting and important. You know, we stand at a critical juncture in human history where urbanization is reshaping our world in unprecedented ways. According to UN Habitat, 6 out of every 10 people in the world are expected to live in urban areas by 2030. This global shift towards urban living underscores the importance of our panel today. And as we engage in this crucial topic, let's envision a Mumbai in 2047. That is an art city, a smart city, a metropolis where creativity and technology intertwine, to create a unique urban tapestry. But what makes Mumbai's urban culture unique? It is the synergy of the past, the present, and the future that creates a dynamic landscape. And as Mumbai's landscape evolves, the convergence of urban planning, arts, culture, gastronomy, entertainment becomes even more crucial. And this brings me to the task at hand. I'm delighted to be in conversation with this panel of experts. You know, in Mumbai, a notable symbol of our wonderful maximum city is the BMC building, characterized by its stunning facade, adorned with arches, motifs, large domes. Atop a gable stands, it's a winged figure, a statue, holding a ship. And on it is written, and it kind of symbolizes the Mumbai angel, on it is written, Urbs Prima in Indis, Latin for the first city of India, which reflects the historical role Mumbai plays as the gateway to the West. So I'm going to start with our panelists delving into this, and I'm going to start with Vincent, who is our visitor from Paris. Vincent, Paris is much like Mumbai, a melting pot of cultures. Both cities have a rich cultural heritage, spans centuries, and now more than ever, it's at the forefront of cultural and literary influences globally. You are the president and CEO of the French Publishers Association, and as a leading global publishing industry, you've been quoted saying that there has been a pullback in the releases in 22-23, and in one of your interviews, you spoke about artificial intelligence being a significant challenge in the global publishing space. Now, as publishing industry accelerates its shift from print to digital and grapples with technology and AI, what global trends do you think will impact the future of publishing in Mumbai as we reach the 2047 milestone?
Thank you. I will express me in French because I think language is very important and it's better to switch. And you will have a translation after. J'aime votre 2047 parce que ça me rappelle que Gutenberg a inventé l'imprimerie en 1447. Les Portugais ont créé la première imprimerie à Goa en 1547. Et le textbook en anglais est arrivé en 1847. C'est assez extraordinaire comme date. Et donc, je pense que nous ne pouvons regarder la technologie qu'en fonction de ce temps long de la culture qui s'installe dans les siècles.
So first of all, thank you everyone. I really love the idea of 2047. It reminds me of Gutenberg and 1447, where printing came into existence, and then in Portuguese Goa in 1547, and then the textbook, what we call textbook in English, came into being in 1847. So it's really extraordinary that 2047 is what we talk about. When we talk about technology, we have culture.
Et nous avons tous avec nous un écran. Cet écran, il est chez nous, à chaque instant, il résume tous les médias. Nous avons en parallèle la presse, le livre, la production du visuel, le spectacle vivant. Et donc, nous avons une synthèse de ce que nous appelons les industries culturelles et créatives.
And then we have screens which are at home with us at every moment, and that kind of resumes all the media that we have. You talk about press, books, audiovisual, performing arts, and that synthesizes all of culture that we have.
Et votre question me rappelle simplement un livre en France qui dit que l'invention d'un certain monsieur, un Italien, monsieur Marconi, va stopper le livre parce que les écrivains ne savent plus écrire, enfin bref. Donc on parle de la radio. Et ce livre est écrit en 1903. Ça, c'est très intéressant parce que ça montre que ce que nous venons de vivre depuis 100 ans, c'est une addition de tous les médias, le cinéma, la télévision, la presse, le livre, le numérique, le digital, et maintenant l'intelligence artificielle.
Okay, and your question reminds me of a French book wherein an Italian Marcoli, he says that he's going to stop books and because of writers being upset and because of radio. And that book was published in 1903. And that's really interesting because 100 years ago, we were talking about medias getting added to the list. So we had books, TV, press, digital and technology, and now we have artificial intelligence.
Et juste pour terminer, aujourd'hui, en France, c'est 10 industries culturelles et créatives, c'est 100 milliards d'euros, c'est le 3e secteur économique. Au niveau européen, c'est 700 milliards d'euros. Et en Inde, c'est 50 milliards. Si je reprends ça, en France, c'est 1 200 euros par personne. En Inde, c'est 35 euros par personne. Donc c'est une différence économique énorme. Et c'est ce qu'il faut, c'est la seule chose qu'il faut comprendre dans la projection sur 2047, c'est comment on déploie les industries culturelles et créatives.
And just to end, today in France, we have the cultural and the creative industry, which accounts for 100 billion euros, and it's the 3rd economic sector. And in Europe, it's 700 billion. And 100 or 200 euros is what we consider in France, but when we see that in rupees, that's about 35 euros per person. So it's a different economy, but one thing that we have to understand when we look at 2047 is how to deploy all these cultural and creative industries all together.
Wonderful. Thank you for that answer. I'd love to talk to you more about the creative industry separate because I do a lot of work in that space. I'm going to turn to Brinda. The Ghoda Festival is approaching the 25th anniversary. Many congratulations on that. Becoming a cornerstone of Mumbai's cultural identity. I know many people in the room and some of us here have been integrally involved in this journey. From the point of view of an artist and a festival director, what has been the festival's role in urban regeneration, and how has it contributed again to the creative economy?
So honestly, it's the only kind of festival in Mumbai, and I don't think there's anyone, in fact, forget Mumbai, I don't think there's anything like this even in India or probably in Asia too. I don't know about the world, but I like to think that there isn't. It has become very iconic in the sense that everyone knows about it now, everyone looks forward to it, and it's so inclusive, it has all kinds of people. Yes, 25 years is, it's making me nervous because everyone says, what are you doing to make it so special? Why are you making 25 years so special? You've announced that it's 25 years old, so what are you going to do? So I really don't know what more to do because we've done everything possible there.
But the urban regeneration, so you all have restored so many parts of Mumbai
We've
thanks
restored so much. A lot of people don't know is that whatever profits we make, which is not very much, but whatever we do make from the festival, the sponsorship, we kind of put into the restoration of the area. That's why it's become such a beautiful area. No one noticed the buildings before, now they do. The shops in the area have come alive. The restaurants have come alive, and he's the new entrant to he'll tell you more about that. And it has become the tourist district. It has become the place to go to.
And so artists are making money, the whole industry is making money, supporting the creative industries, essentially.
Definitely. It is definitely, a lot of people get discovered there as well.
Wonderful. Atul, Mumbai is undergoing a massive infrastructure transformation. In fact, many panels before us, or the speakers actually, kind of went deep into the amount of investment. It's over 50 billion in ongoing infrastructure investments, whether it's our metro, our rail, our airport, our TransLink. I think Madam Chief Secretary said there were 14 projects in the pipeline today. Now, these developments are reshaping Mumbai as we know it and making it a city for the future. Now, Phoenix Mills represents a part of Mumbai's history which shows the transition from the textile industry to becoming a leading retail destination. How do you see these new developments shaping the city in the next few years, especially in retail and hospitality? I know you're already in the process of transforming Phoenix again.
Thank you, Asad. Thank you, Sumit and IFCCCI for having me here. I must say, Brinda, I'm a big fan of the Ghoda festival, and with my fellow panelist, Yash, I'm a big fan of your Bombay Canteen. So great to chat with you all. Vincent, thank you for making it here, and lovely to have. So if my take on this whole subject is, in the green room, Asad or someone mentioned that Mumbai is like a little village, and Brinda mentioned. And it resonates with all of us, especially South Bombayites. And actually, in a very interesting way, we all love to reminisce about our past. We love the past to remain intact. We don't like change. I think 2014, when there was a change in our governance, it kind of became the major catalyst for the revitalization of city infrastructure. So there were some 10 or 15 major infra projects announced in 14, 15, 16, including the 10 lines of 3,000 plus kilometers of metro line, this coastal road, the Trans-Harbour Link, the Navi Mumbai Airport, and so on and so forth, many, many new roads, the Eastern Freeway. Humongous investment. In fact, I was a panelist with a Japanese consortium recently with Hindustan, IFCCCI, and interesting discussion there was one of the Japanese panelists mentioned that this city may be amongst the top infrastructures in the world. This was after he had driven the coastal road and seen all of that in time to come. So yes, Mumbai is complete transformation. There is a small issue here I should mention. The vision seems to have paused. I am not hearing the 20 big new things in 2024. The 10 big things were announced in 2014. If we are to really see that vision 2047, the government at this point should have been announcing those 20 new humongous mega ideas. I think that is the real gap, and we are going to experience it. Coming briefly to Phoenix, so keeping with the change, we are totally reinventing. So a lot of the Phoenix as you knew it is going to be, all the industrial buildings the old sheds are going to be broken. And we are building a complete new Phoenix, ready for 2047. We are building a lot of new office, a new hotel, expanding the shopping center, adding a lot of F&B, adding a lot of entertainment. But we are doing all this while retaining, I would say, the ESG aspect, so adding a lot of parking and all of that, retaining the idea behind a Phoenix mill. So that's my take, Asad. Sorry for a long answer.
I hope you're going to keep a lot of space for arts and culture when you're building all this. But, actually, you missed the early morning sessions. There were a couple of presentations which were I was very excited seeing them for projects planned and very well articulated. So we should get you the numbers, or Sumit can help get those presentations. It's really worth taking a look. I'm going to go to Meenakshi. Meenakshi, you were a jury member of the Cannes Film Festival. You have a mic? Yeah. Cannes Film Festival last year. Today marks the opening of the Mami Festival in Mumbai. And as it happens is when the Royal Opera House reopened in 2016, after being closed for 25 years, we opened with the Mami Film Festival opening. So it's kind of a little bit of serendipity happening here. But, so Mumbai is home to the Hindi film industry, one of the largest number of films produced in the world. So what are some key lessons or best practices that film festivals like Mami and others can take from Cannes in establishing itself as a global influence or a benchmark?
So I think one of the things is that Cannes has a very, very clear focus on high-quality cinema, which a lot of our festivals do have, certainly the Mumbai Festival. I think because the impression sitting so far away is that because it's a little bit insulated, it's at Cannes or in Paris, it seems a little insulated from politics, which is always very healthy. So it can actually
Go to Nashik next.
So I think they're really into the business of it. It's really end-to-end with a lot of attention being paid to future businesses. So I was on the jury of the Semaine Critic, which is a critic speak for first and second film. So it's a discovery section. And it's just run by a bunch of film critics, okay? So they have this French Union of Film Critics, just as they have in India or anywhere in the world. And what these guys have done is extraordinary. Other than, the critics here will write a review or do up, down. I mean, this is the limit of a lot of the average critics in India. They have a specific section which is highly, highly prized in the Cannes Film Festival, I think around the 1960s. It has a long history already. They have a lot of very big prize money, Fondation Cannes, and a whole lot of big prize money supporting the winners. They have assurance that the prize winners will go on French television, which is, oh my God, wow. So they're taking care of distribution. They also, when you submit the form that you want to submit your film for the section, you're already signing that you're giving them the opportunity to distribute your film theatrically in 6 countries. And you're saying, what? Like, you're sitting here for hundreds of years. We're making some of the finest films in the world. We can't distribute it. And these guys, the critics, are actually distributing. So they've arranged with independent distributors in France, in Italy, Morelia, Brazil, like many countries worldwide, to distribute the films theatrically of first-time filmmakers. That's extraordinary. They have something called Next, which is they have a section also for short films. So this is a mentoring and empowerment of these people to make their first feature film. So they're really geared to thinking forward, but I would add a little coda because it's very, very business-oriented and good cinema. I would also think the Cannes Festival could learn from the Kerala Film Festival, which has such an insanely gorgeous, cine-literate audience. So they opened with a film like, a few years ago, Nobody Knows, this Asghar Farhadi film, which has Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem. You can't open it in a regular theater. They open it in the Nishiganda, which is like an open-air stadium. And they just announced that Javier Bardem is in this film. It exploded with a roar, not for the hot Penelope Cruz, yes, but for Javier Bardem, a Spanish actor. That you would never get even in Bombay, right? So to have that kind of grassroots, fierce loyalty is...
So international distribution, money, and hot actors. That's all you need. Okay. So I'm just kind of, maybe I'll have a career 2.2. No, I'm just kidding. Yash, Paris has 136 Michelin-starred establishments, second highest in the world, and Lyon is emerging as the gastronomic capital of France, setting high benchmarks and standards. Now, Mumbai is a multicultural, multi-cuisine fabric. So how can the hospitality industry in Mumbai kind of, aspire to be a world-class culinary destination?
I'm going to take a bit from Meenakshi's answer. I feel for us, we are so fond of ratings, Michelin star. I feel like for us, as we need to learn from them on why Michelin came about, right? They started this years ago to get people into their cars, and as a tire thing, Michelin was basically a map to get you and to say this is a 1-star restaurant, 2-star, 3-star, to get you into the car and travel the country and visit these restaurants. We as Indians love to tell on Instagram, I'm going to Japan for a sushi trip, I'm going to Paris to eat the best croissant. When was the last time we spoke about, I went to the Worli Koliwada fish festival, right? I feel we need, Michelin's great, and I love Paris, but we need to learn from them and tell the India story better and look at them as guardrails for it. So I feel us, as even me as a restaurant, I'm very passionate about Bombay itself, need to work with the right people to say, how can we make people come to Bombay and say, let's take you to eat the Bori cuisine that we have here. So I feel instead of saying, I believe our cuisine, not our restaurants, but what we do in Bombay is at the world-class level, but our story is a different story to tell than a Paris story. And we need to learn from them and make our own way of getting people to go try out our own cuisines.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. We actually had a Goa festival here 2 weeks ago at the Opera House and outside, and we had all this Goan cuisine, and people were going mad on Instagram, I mean, posting. So it was really, really endearing to see that. I'm going to go back to Vincent now. You know, Vincent, I mean, I grew up reading comics, right? I grew up reading Amar Chitrakatha, which was one of our good old ones, and Asterix simultaneously. And these two comic series, you know, taught me about our culture and global culture. Now, in France, comic book industry is thriving. In fact, 1 of every 4 books sold is a comic. And stating some statistics and numbers that you did earlier, the turnover in 2023 for comics was 466 million euros. So comics in India doesn't have that kind of a popularity that it has in Paris. So what can India learn from Paris, how to harness this rich, and we have a very rich storytelling tradition. So how do we take our storytelling through the graphic novel mode to make it as popular or as a literature genre, or even make it, you know, close to, as it's called, France's 9th art, right?
À l'origine de la bande dessinée en France, ça n'était pas des albums, mais c'était de la presse. Et donc, c'était une instillation hebdomadaire qui a fait découvrir la bande dessinée. Donc, ce que je pense, c'est qu'il faut toujours revenir à l'idée que le support est important, et je crois que je ne démarrerai pas aujourd'hui à pousser trop les bandes dessinées en albums imprimés. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, il faut réfléchir aux webtoons, il faut réfléchir à d'autres façons d'aborder l'extraordinaire richesse intellectuelle et graphique qu'il y a en Inde.
So I'll talk about the origin of comic books. It didn't start actually as an album and a volume. It started as press. And it was initially instilled as a weekly matter, and that's how people discovered comic books. And I think we have to go back to the idea of the support that we use, the paper, which is very important. So today, I probably wouldn't start comic books on an album, something that's on print. I'd probably go to web tools, to other tools, and, you know, to bring together the rich intellectual culture that India has.
Wonderful. Brinda, you know, public art has become a critical element in engaging diverse communities and making culture accessible to the urban environment. We've all been involved with so many of these wonderful public art projects, like the Start Street Art project. Your daughter's mural is painted outside the Bombay Gymkhana, done by the Alliance Française with Stéphane last year, or 2 years ago. So how do you look at public art in shaping Mumbai's future urban landscape? And what do you think the importance of it is?
Definitely public art is very, very important. So let me go backwards. It is very important. But on the other hand, I think the kind of public art we have now in Mumbai, I'm not sure I really like it or appreciate it. It's just things are painted anywhere and everywhere. And I'm sure all the panelists agree on this. But yes, I was one of the first. I'm again not showing off, but I think I was one of the first because, that was something that in my family, we always thought about these things. You traveled abroad, you've seen it in France, you've seen it in Paris, you've seen public art everywhere in the world. So I just thought it was very, very important. And I may have been one of the first people to paint a mural in the city. And I've painted several murals actually. And lately, I do cringe a little bit when I see some of the public art. But again, I say even to plant a tree is public art. And I think to make the city green is public art. And that's something I believe in. So let's do at least that, if at all.
Wonderful. Atul, with a population of 25.8 million, there were different figures shown today, but this is the figure I had, so I'm going with it. And the plan to redevelop 2.2 million slum households by 2030. Urban developers must, balance this expansion. So when I lived in New York for years, I lived on the Upper West Side, and Trump, when he built his towers, we suddenly had a promenade, we had an amphitheater, we used it. Also in Dubai, the Burj Khalifa, when it was constructed, the sales office was made into an arts and culture center. So in your view, what are some of the critical steps that developers must ensure, besides getting art centers, that Mumbai's growth is environmentally responsible and also sustainability, and this whole alters amenities for living and talent acquisition. So what can one do, as we go through this expansion, growth is, change is inevitable. So as we go through this, what can one do to make sure we are doing the right thing, not just ticking the boxes?
Right. So this is a question very, very close to my heart. So I think, of course, the very basic answer is, I think when a developer now considers a new project, he must ensure that the building is LEED Platinum certified, energy conservation, water harvesting, structure, 100% reuse. So for example, at St. Regis and Palladium, 100%, we have zero discharge of water. 100% of the water is reused. So all of these very sewage treatment and solar panels, all of that, I think these are the bare basics. But really, let's look at the question in a more macro point of view. We are fast forwarding. We are skipping South Bombay, definitely south of Mahim, skipping an era. So we had these restrictions of 1.33 FSI. And we had tens of millions of people moving into Bombay from all over India. So they couldn't fit in our city. 3-4 things happened. We had a proliferation of slums. We had a mega expansion into what Borivali grew into giant towers. Bandra got redeveloped because of TDR policy, but now it's happening to South Bombay. Suddenly we have 5 FSI or 9 FSI in some cases. And we are going to see the direct jump from South Bombay to Manhattan. This is going to happen literally in 10 years. So, so your question is very, very pertinent because we are going to run out of roads, water, resources, and all of that unless some phenomenal planning and infrastructure build at the absolute next level starts taking place today. On the more humane aspect, or rather the more arts and craft and all this aspect, I think developers, so we will be adding almost 200 restaurants in our Phoenix complex. We today have 400. 400 outlets. It will be 600 plus outlets we are adding. So, we are adding more like a convention-centric kind of a facility. We are adding 15 paddle and pickle courts because this is a huge, exciting new area. We are definitely adding a lot of what I would call wellness, clubhouse, these other type of facilities in the office campuses. So I think the whole development has to become a live, work, play kind of an environment to create this entire ecosystem. I hope others do it as well.
Wonderful.
Sorry, answers are very long.
Guys, 1 minute answers, okay? So, Meenakshi, you're the moderator of Rendezvous for the film French cinema, and you've been doing that for a decade, speaking with, filmmakers and stars. How can Mumbai, develop deeper collaborations with France to kind of, go through more co-productions, festival partnerships, to create, storytelling that's innovative and resonates globally?
Excellent question. So there are already a lot of initiatives from the French side. I don't think there's been enough on the reverse. Our attempt to tell our stories as well, dominating the discussion. So there is an Indo-French co-production treaty already, but there's a whole lot of films that happen within the treaty, outside of the treaty. This gorgeous film that opens the Mumbai Festival tonight as we speak, exquisite film, All We Imagine Is Life by Payal Kapadia, which won the Grand Prix at Cannes and is also in the running for the Oscars, is an Indo-French collaboration. Also, a previous film, the French company was Petit Chaos, and they had already produced a docu-fiction called The Night of Knowing Nothing, which had won Best Docu at Cannes. So this has been going on for a very long time, and I think that comes from a much deeper French vision of the world, which we don't have in India at all, from what I know. This whole la lutte contre Hollywood, right? The whole battle against Hollywood, which is such a specific and deep-rooted French thing, which I really admire. So they have been for decades funding films, not only all over France, but all over the world. So they had, for example, this fund called Fond Sud Cinema, which is South Fund, which is films all over the world, but also the global South. Indian filmmakers like Mrinal Sen, Arun Gopal Krishnan, Sudhir Mishra, so many have benefited from an earlier generation making Indian films with French money. So this independent film movement is very, very weak in India. We rarely get Indian producers, not enough. So we're always looking to, like Payal would almost never get a producer for her films in India. Very difficult to make it on her own. We need the French, for example. So they've really supported a lot of our work. There's also other initiatives like Payal had something called Cinefondation Cannes Residency. You just hang out in Paris for 2-3 months. You don't have to do anything. You can just sit at a desk and write, which is a luxury you don't get in India often. Just quiet, walk the streets of Paris, write something calmly, your Khana Pina is arriving. So that's just a fantastic space where they also do mentoring or connection, networking with French people in the industry. So she found her producers who were then making her last two films, right? So there's a lot of this infrastructural thing. And for storytelling, I think one of the things is that India is such a big domestic market. We've never been aggressive about conquering the world. It's such a huge and so diverse. We make films in 55 languages, 17,000 films in a year censored by the government, right? This is crazy. Like
uncensored are how many?
Yeah. Sorry, pardon?
Uncensored are how many?
We don't even know. This is like
come on.
So the volumes are so huge and so diverse. We are, I think, quite happy to just be ourselves. So we're not really ambitious about conquering the world in the traditional sense because there's so much to conquer here.
Wonderful. I don't know what to make of that, but Yash, I'm going to get the last question to you before I do a wrap-up. Bombay Canteen, which we love what they do on Independence Day, you have your Dawat, and that's played a role in community-driven initiatives. You've transformed a park. So what role can the hospitality business play in Mumbai to support the local communities and support issues and social causes?
Just a quick context is, for the past 9 years, we've been doing a charity langar on 15th August, where we go out and invite everyone in the neighborhood to come have a free meal at Bombay Canteen. And if anyone leaves us money, we always use it towards a cause. So we've worked with farmers before, and this year we took up a cause, like what you said, was I believe that we as citizens need to start participating in the conversation of our city. We need to have open conversations to say that we are not green enough. So I know your time is up, but so basically we've taken up a small piece of wasteland very close to Mahalakshmi, and we are transforming that into a park. Now that's a small step. I know people, when they look at it, they say it's very small, but I'm saying this because it's the start. I'm hoping that other restaurateurs or the hospitality people see this. Mm-hmm. Wherever you are, it starts with putting one tree in and taking care of that tree. So we want to inspire other generations to start doing that. And for us also, it's just the start of that journey.
And you have a French example to go with it. So
Yes,
why don't
so
you share that?
the quick example would be like the Seine River in 2013 or 14. There used to be roads right next to it with a lot of traffic. They decided to pedestrianize it one side, and the citizens supported it, right? The citizens did not say that this is leading to more traffic. It did lead to some friction for a couple of years. Then they made the other side pedestrian. I was there 2 weeks ago, and it's such a beautiful, open, green space. But it was only when citizens said, okay, this will lead to friction for 3-4 years, but 10 years down the line, my city is getting greener, my kids are going to have better air to breathe. I think that's a conversation that we just as, not just hospitality, all of us need to be having much more on what do we do to make this city livable, and look at Paris as an example.
Wonderful. I think I'm almost out of time, but I'm going to do one last closing question, so hopefully they will permit me to stay on stage. If they don't invite me back here again, it's okay. I can come here on my own.
Sumit is looking at his watch.
So anyway, Mumbai is no stranger to change. One could say the city is built on change. It's been a show of diversity of communities, a place for growing opportunities, as well as challenges, and the spirit is described as unbreakable. So if you had to take out that crystal ball and envision the defining feature of Mumbai's urban culture in 2047, what would that be? And I'm going to start with Vincent. And it was supposed to be an answer, but now it's a one-line answer, guys. Would it be India's literary capital, or? One line.
Moi, je pense que la vraie vie, c'est que l'écrit restera toujours à la racine de tous les autres médias. Vous ne faites pas un film sans un script, sans un écrit, sans cette imagination, sans cet imaginaire qui crée une puissance évocatrice nouvelle. So, en 2047, les pays qui gagneront sont ceux qui auront développé en parallèle tous les médias qui se conjuguent. Et Mumbai, grâce à ses déploiements dans l'audiovisuel, le jeu vidéo, est extrêmement bien placé pour devenir et être la capitale intellectuelle.
Thank you. Iram, you do that in a line?
I'll try. Okay. So that I think that in life, written matter, what's written is always at the roots of all media. When you talk about films, you don't have films without scripts. So you don't have any kind of imagination without what you write. And I think to generate new kind of passion and power in 2047 will be to develop all these medias and that they come and meet at a certain crossroad. And finally, Mumbai, with its prowess in audiovisual, in video games, can certainly become the next intellectual capital of India.
Wonderful, wonderful. Brinda, global cultural capital? No?
Definitely. At least in India, it should be the heritage, art, cultural capital. And 2047, I'm sure Opera House will still be there.
Will we be there?
And will we be there? Exactly. Will we be there?
Atul? Retail hub?
I think by 2035, we'll be the New York of the world with as many skyscrapers. And by 2047, fingers crossed, we'll be the capital city of the world.
Oh, wonderful. Meenakshi?
Bollywood takes over the world.
Oh. And?
Actually, hopefully independent cinema as well, because we really want something like all we imagine is light. So may there be lots more light as well.
Let there be light. Yash, gastronomic paradise?
I feel it should be with like approachable, accessible food spaces like Singapore food courts, and not places just in
Atul will
malls.
make them, don't worry.
Yeah.
Huh. But thank you, guys. It's been a great panel. I wish I had more time. I have so many more questions for you. The maximum city, Amchi Mumbai, the city we love and call home. I look forward to the rising of this global metropolis as we make our way to 2047. Thank you very much.